Welcome to an overview of Adobe Exchange. My name is Martin Rauchwerk, and I'm happy to talk to you about Adobe Exchange, a third-party developer marketplace. I'm very passionate about it and giving developers the ability to be able to promote their listings on our marketplace. Today, in our session, hopefully try to achieve four things. One is to just discover third-party applications on Adobe Exchange, show you how to navigate it, and what kind of promotional features you can put in your application listings. I'm going to show you how to generate JWT credentials for a service-to-service API integration on Developer Console that will be connected with your application. I'll do a brief overview on Admin Console. This is where customer administrators can come in and see what applications, what integrations have access to their data, and they can manage that. And finally, I'll spend most of my time on helping you to submit an application listing on what's called the EC Exchange Portal. For Experience Cloud Exchange Portal, that's where your listing will be submitted. So I'm going to switch next to Developer Console. And then in my slide, you'll see a few more tips. I'll be showing you a few more tips on how to navigate this. But for now, I'll kind of lead you through it right as you would in Developer Console. The first thing you do is you log into Developer Console, which is developer.adobe.com/console. And you want to check in the upper right that you have the org showing that you want to work with. I happen to have two orgs. I'm choosing my Adobe IO org because that's where I have access to various Adobe products, and therefore I can get to the APIs. So then go to APIs and services. We can then see all of the APIs and services that you can integrate with at Adobe. Now, this includes all clouds: Document Cloud, Creative Cloud, Experience Cloud. Since this discussion is really about Experience Cloud, I'm going to just click Experience Cloud and sort on those. And in fact, rather than other kinds of services like events, I'm just going to focus specifically on APIs. So here's some APIs for various Adobe products. This allows you to create a service-to-service integration, and we're going to create credentials so your API can call into the Adobe product. So for example, let's say I create a project with an Adobe Journey Analytics API. The first thing that's going to happen here is it's asking you for a key pair. You can either upload your public key for your own key pair, or we could just generate a key pair so that we can create a new service account with your credentials to access this particular Adobe product. So I'll click down on the right, generate key pair. It takes a little while. Key pair was created successfully. The other thing you might notice is a config file got downloaded to my desktop. That config file has the private key that was generated for the key pair. You have to download this securely and make sure you save it, because this is the only copy of your private key. Adobe doesn't keep copies of private keys. And so if you lose that, you lose access to this particular integration. You have to start over. But in any case, here's the public key. You can copy that and use it in your integration to be able to make the call to Adobe products. And it's now set up with the credentials that you made with the account you logged in with. Now, let's say you're using this API with a customer who wants to be able to access analytics using your third-party integration. So what you'll need to have them do is do this step, to go in and put in their credentials so that they have access to it when they want to use your third-party integration. One other thing you do here after creating the credentials is we can select certain product profiles associated with Journey Analytics. In this case, it's just one particular one. I'm going to choose it, and I'm going to save that configured to my API. So I've completed that step. This is basically the part about just creating a technical service account for this particular API that you're going to create. And this creates your access for it to our products. Takes a little while to actually generate it as it goes to Adobe's backend systems, the identity system, and connects your credentials to this API. Just going to wait till it finishes. And there it is. And then if I wanted to, I could, here I'm still in console, I can say, okay, I can look at that particular project I created. I could rename it. But this project is associated with the API that we just created. And here it is. Customer Journey Analytics. Here's the API associated with it. Here's my service account. If you don't particularly like the name Project 85, you can rename it. I'll just say. I'm going to save it here in console. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you from Developer Console. This is another, I'm sorry, Admin Console. We were on Developer Console. Admin Console is adminconsole.adobe.com. This is where customer admins of enterprise customers can access their integrations, what has access to their data, and so on and so forth. So I've already jumped in here, but the way I got here is if you were on the main page of Admin Console, and I said I wanted to look into various products that have integrations. Here I'm going to say what product. Remember, it was Customer Journey Analytics. I'll choose that Adobe product itself. And if I scroll up here, it says, yeah, there are some developer.adobe.com leads credentials associated with this. So let me go back to API credentials. And here, I previously created these credentials. And if you want to see the ones I just created on Developer Console, I have to give Admin Console a chance to refresh with the backend. And here it is. This, remember, I created Martin's Journey Analytics credentials. So imagine I'm a customer admin right now with this credential having access to my data, and I say, I changed my mind. I no longer want my data to access that API anymore. I'm done with that third-party integration. They have the ability to remove credentials. They also have ability to add credentials to existing. So let's say I remove this API credential, and there you have it. So whereas I showed you a way to create credentials, it also gives the customer the ability at some point in the future time to disconnect it. This is just for technically connecting the API. The rest of this discussion, I'm going to focus instead on actually taking this integration which you create using these credentials and publicly listing it on Adobe Exchange. So I've switched now to Adobe Exchange. Adobe Exchange can be found at exchange.adobe.com, and all these URLs I have listed in my presentation and tips how you can get there, so you don't have to write anything down. So we have exchange.adobe.com. Overall, we have application listings for all clouds: Creative Cloud, Experience Cloud, and Document Cloud. But today, of course, we're going to focus on Experience Cloud, so that you can see that's /Experience Cloud. And these application listings, what do I call them that? We have to have one term to associate with them. We call them applications. But applications can have multiple integrations. Remember, we created an integration back in Developer Console. So let's say I created an application that connected with Adobe Analytics and perhaps connected with Adobe Campaign as well. I could technically create two different integrations, and I can associate that with one application, one tool that people can use to access Adobe products. Once you have that application created, you can advertise it or promote it on Adobe Exchange. And this is the marketplace. that customers can come here and look at them. The first thing you might notice is this kind of noticeable carousel at the top. This is for promoting particular ones. So get a little more notice than the overall search. But if you go down here, there is a whole browse experience for Experience Cloud applications on Exchange. You notice you can say, oh, specifically ones that are made for various products I can choose, or different types within those products, or I can search certain tags associated with the listing, or I could sort. So there's all kinds of ways to browse amongst these because there's 341 different ones. How do you know what ones do you want? Let's say we're working with analytics right now, okay? And that associated with analytics, we're down to 84. I wanted to drive a little bit more. I go to app type. Let's look at client-side app types. And all of a sudden, I found one. So this is just a way within the browse experience to search between them. And when you set up your application listing, which I'm going to show you next, you want to set up certain things so people can find your listing well. Let me go into a listing itself so you can see what we're talking about. So again, this is what we call the detail page for that particular listing, called Consent Management by User-Centrics. There's the developer name, and most prominently are what we call preview images, images that people can use to see what the product is like. If you want to see a little bit more, you click on the image. Okay, I can see this is what's going on. This is what their menu looks like. You could switch between images on this carousel. They can have up to 10 images to describe an application. You can also add a caption to explain what's going on the screen. You can also add YouTube videos or Vimeo videos that they can click in and watch it in action. So this is where we have most prominent. How do you use this thing? What is it about? What does it do for me? We have a publish date. We have a version number, and here it lists what particular Adobe products are required or optional. The fact that this is optional implies that this particular listing doesn't have an API associated with it. If it did, then that would be a required product. In other words, in order to use a product that uses an Adobe API, Adobe product, I, as a customer, have to have access to that product, analytics. That means it's required. That's what that means. Then if you scroll down, there's more information. Product info is a detailed explanation about the product. There's also, very important, installation instructions. So installation instructions here tell the user, okay, if I want to use this third-party integration, this is how I get it and this is how I install it. Because these are service-to-service integrations. They talk to Adobe servers. How do you get your third-party extension in front of that customer when they're in the analytics server menu? This is what this installation instructions are about. There's quite a bit more documentation you can provide. You can provide up to 10 PDF documents that you can look at. And also, you as a developer supply support information. How do I get this in the first place? What do I do next? You can provide email, URL, and other ways to contact a developer. But this is very important. We make it required because when customers come here, they want to know what they do next to get it. And finally, you can see there's some tags here at the bottom, and I'll show you later how you can enter tags. This helps you search and find particular applications that you want to use as a customer. So just going back to the main exchange, we talked about the browser experience. We talked about getting into a detail page, sorting, and so on and so forth. So you can see there's various ways in which you can promote your product, whether it be in a regular listing, whether it be in a preview listing that's featured. I'll show all that as we go now into the fourth surface I want to describe to you, which is called the Experience Cloud Adobe Exchange Program, or short, we call it the EC Exchange Program for Experience Cloud. So I'm already logged in here, but you, as a developer, once you have your integration ready, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to register on this site. So you go to partners.adobe.com exchange program / experience cloud, and you're going to register. And you're going to fill out your company information, and that will be submitted to our administrator for this program and said, okay, yes, you have all the credentials here in order to be able to list something on Exchange. Once you do, they'll approve your registration, and then you'll receive an email saying you are approved. Go ahead to the Exchange program now as a logged in member and go and enjoy the listing service. So in order to list a listing, you'll find out if you read through all this information, but a shortcut is going to App Manager. App Manager is the tool we have to help you create your listing. And the first place you're taken is the application dashboard. As a developer that created previous applications, I have a dashboard of ones that I created. So you can see the status of these two integrations are draft, and I can then work on them. Or if you're new, you want to start with a new one, I'll show you what it's like. You can create a brand new application listing. So there's a couple of choices. One is, okay, if it's for Marketo Engage or Commerce Cloud, we send you a different link where you do those. This particular site helps you support all the other products, but Commerce Cloud and Marketo Engage are new. They're not yet incorporated into this exact flow. But you can still create listings here to be on Exchange for Marketo and Commerce Cloud as well. So let's say I create a new app. What this is called here is it's called App Manager, and it gives you a helpful list of tabs of different sets of information you need to put, and what we call tasks, which is when you've completed enough to be able to go ahead and create a listing. So you can see I've completed 0 of 13 required tasks. I haven't done anything yet. So let me start, and you'll see what these cues tell you. So I'll just start with a new one. I'll call it MSR 804 21. And I can go and start the other stuff, or I can just say save. The act of saving actually starts by creating a record. So next I can add more information. So the first thing you want is an icon. An icon associated with your listing. You may have noticed on those listing cards, there was a logo. So let's say this is my logo, and I upload it. I mentioned to you there's a carousel at the top for featured applications. Okay, I want to upload my featured image. There's certain requirements. We want it to be under 300K, and generally a 9:16 aspect ratio. This is all explained in the tips here. Because I'm a publisher that already registered, I have my logo associated with it. My logo appears here, and it's my Adobe logo. So there's a short description. Let's say my long description. Okay. Before I finish, I'm going to show you what's happening up here on the right. As things got completed, it's getting green. All my required things are green. The only thing I've left to do is a detailed app description. So let me finish my detailed long description. And then you'll see I've completed everything I need to do for my page. It's in green. And what happens is on the left here, that page is green. Done. I'm done my app profile. I'm good. So next, let's go to the Connections tab. See what I need to do there. Remember, we created an API integration on Developer Console, an API credentials. Well, I need to say that is required for using this product in order to get into the analytics product. So I'm going to click required. Note I have to have at least one connection, and I add it. Now I came up with something else here. It says, hey, here's a reminder. It's a box. It's not required, but they want you to do it. You need to create an integration in in IO Developer Console, which you did before. So I'm checking it just to say I did. Even if I didn't check it, it would be OK. That's not a required field. So I've done that. And I'm not going to go through all these fields, but for example, there's media. That's where with the preview images and videos that I mentioned are. That's how you can put in the caption. You can put in up to 10 documents, and you can upload them. And when you do, you have to do a minimum of 4 so the listing looks good. When you do that, this becomes green. I've done all the things I needed to do. Tags. Tags is the area where people can discover your listing. And so I can choose advertising. I can choose video, whatever it is I want. There's language here. The only point of the language here is telling the user when they're looking at the listing, this is also, my product also works in Spanish. It has a Spanish menu that you can see what's happening there. So this gives you additional, not for the listing itself, but for my product, what languages I support in my product. And then you can choose all kinds of tags. These are the tags that allow the browse experience to be rich and allow people to find your listings. And finally, I mentioned this is very important, that you need to, it's a requirement that you have to have installation instructions. If you don't, then we won't let you submit the listing. People need to know how to install your application. So in some cases, we have standard templates. If it's for Audience Manager, Experience Platform, you just choose this. It's standard instructions. For others, you either provide a URL where someone can go to and learn how to do it, or you upload a PDF file for that. So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to get to the end here, because we're starting to run out of time, and say that right now this listing is a draft listing. You should make sure you save. But in general, when I change between tabs, it saves my progress. So if I was to go back to my application dashboard, you'd see I've now added a new draft listing, my latest one here. But let me pick the first one I put together, because I already spent the time to load all the information I needed to add. This is what's called a read-only view. You can view your draft, but if you want to edit again, you just click Edit. It takes me back into the familiar App Manager screen. And this one, it looks like I chose not the one that's totally complete. Let me choose a different one. This one. Edit that. And here we go. Well, I guess this one's not complete anyway. I'll see if I can get to it quickly, because I don't want to run out of time. Let me put some quick tags. And that, go to media. I guess I'm going to have to upload the things, show you how quick it is to do it. Okay, I did all of my required things. Look what happens. Everything is green here. And now I can proceed to approval. But one other thing I can do is I can say, what's my listing going to look like before it's listed? Before I proceed to approval, does this look the way I wanted? Do my images look well? Can I see all my preview images properly? Is my product information listed? Are my installation instructions here? Does everything look good to me? And the answer is yes, it looks good to me. So I can go back to App Manager. I say, okay, I'm happy with my preview. Now I'm going to proceed to approval. In order to proceed to approval, I need to do two things. I need to say to the approver what I want. Any special instructions, please approve. Not required. And finally, one other question is publish immediately upon approval. Once they are done approving it, sometimes it takes a couple of days. Do I want it to publish immediately, or do I want to do it later? So let's say I'm going to say publish immediately upon approval. I submit it, and I'm done. It's post successful. The last thing I want to show you before I ask if there's any questions is back into your app dashboard. You can always find the status of what's going on. And this one that I submitted is now pending approval. Once it's approved, I'm going to have an additional action. Let's suppose I said, don't publish right away, publish later. I would have an action there. It says, I get to choose the day I publish it. Similarly, if it is published, I would have an action that says retract it. Anytime you want, you can take a listing down, re-edit it some more, submit it for approval, and put it back up again. And so there's a retract button. So that's pretty much it for App Manager. I know I rushed through a bit, but there's some tips in the rest of the presentation. So let me see if I can switch back to my presentation. Here it is. Here's tips for admin console. Here's tips for the Exchange portal. And here's your call to action. Basically, I've described 4 surfaces that allow you to view listings, create credentials, view credentials, and actually submit listings up for Exchange. I hope that's been helpful, and I'll just pause here to see if there's any questions. Okay, it sounds like there's not any questions, so I'll just go on to the last slide and say continue on Experience League. If you want to do any more, you can have access to all of these presentations or listen to a live session replay. And I want to thank you very much for listening, and post your listings on Exchange.